Hey folks, today on Christians Are Cool, I'm going to talk about God has a sense of humor.
Did you know he's coming back?
That's right, the Lord has a real sense of humor, and I'm going to tell you a story about how I figured that out. So, I used to live down by the coast in Texas, in a little town called Port Arthur, and my wife and I were living there for a few years. And I met this guy that he used to be in the same business I was in, and we became kind of buddies. And he taught me how to fish in the ocean because I had already fished, on land or in lakes, freshwater fishing, but I'd never fished in the ocean. And I always wondered why people had to have like steel lines and things like that, leaders that had steel in them. So he was taking me out to the marshes and things like that to fish, and I learned really quick why you have steel leaders in ocean fishing or saltwater fishing. Basically, everything in the saltwater has really gnarly teeth, so they'll just cut right through any kind of monofilament or anything like that. So I learned that lesson. Anyway, I love to fish. And this friend of mine, Joey, he used to take me out to the marsh and taught me how to catch mullet in a net. And, that way I'd have good fishing bait. And if I couldn't catch mullet in the net, then I would catch shad or something like that. It's one of the two typically with the cast net. And so I got good at casting, and I got good at catching mullet, and I got good at catching shad, and I got good at just catching whatever bait I needed for, whatever fishing event I was going on. And it was typically the best bait was mullet. So after learning how to fish a little bit, I was working, and we worked long hours and didn't get a whole lot of time off. It was a high stress job. And it was like the only downtime, the only relief from the stress was to try to get some fishing in. And one day my wife and I decided after work we were going to go down to Sabine Pass where the marshes are because the tide was coming in, and we're going to go down there and fish. So we get off work, and I'm still dressed in my clothing, which was, kind of like a business attire. And we find a place down there after going over the big bridge. We finally find a place where we can pull over. And it's right next to this highway, but you just kind of have to block that out when you're fishing down in there. So we get our fishing stuff out, and I'm not in the best of moods. As a matter of fact, I've had kind of a rough day, and it was just a lot of stress, and I was kind of being a big baby about everything. Just things weren't going my way, and I was kind of pouty about it. And I thought, well, I'm just going to catch a big redfish. And so we get down there and set up, and we sit around. I had good bait, and had all the fishing gear I needed. And my wife's watching me. I could tell she's watching me. And I'm just kind of pitching a little bit of a fit because I've been down there long enough. I should have already caught something. And, I'm kind of getting red in the face, and I started praying, Lord, let me catch a fish. I just want one fish. I'm so frustrated, and I just want to catch something, take it home and eat it. And that's what I did. I'd catch my fish and eat them. So I'm sitting around there sulking a little bit, and the next thing I know, my pole goes, it goes down. And I'm so excited. I go over there and I fight this fish. I mean, this thing was pulling hard. And I'm wrestling in it, and I'm all excited, And I could just kind of feel I was still tense. I wasn't sure why. I just was having a bad day. So I'm fighting this thing. And it's pulling, and then I bring it in. It's pulling, and I finally get this thing up to the shore. And I am not joking you. there was a fish on there, but it had already been filleted, and it was a redfish. And it was basically the head and nothing behind it except for the tail, and it looked like something right out of Bugs Bunny, like bones down to the tail. And it literally, I'm telling you, this thing was fighting me like a regular redfish. By the time I got it up there, I looked at that, and the ice broke. The Lord I just had to laugh about it, because that was the most ridiculous thing. But he stuck a redfish that had already been caught and filleted on my line for me to reel in, and I sulked about it the whole time. But finally, when I got that thing reeled in, I realized the Lord has a real sense of humor. God bless you all.
Coming back for those who love him, to take them home to paradise.